Hello, good morning everyone. Today I'll be talking about the canals and fissures of the orbit, and the main topic of discussion would be the superior and the inferior orbital fissure and the optic canal. See, the orbit, it communicates with the surrounding areas through several bony canals and fissures, and through these communications various important structures like the various nerves, the vessels, it enters and exits from the orbit into the brain cavity or the anterior cranial fossa and the other areas, right? So the first important structure is the optic canal. This is the optic canal. It is basically a cylindrical canal which runs obliquely. This is the direction, so it is running obliquely through the lesser wing of the sphenoid bone. This is the lesser wing of the sphenoid bone. This is the greater wing of the sphenoid bone. This is the body of the sphenoid bone. Right, so it is a cylindrical canal which runs obliquely through the lesser wing of the sphenoid bone near the base where it joins the body of the sphenoid. Now through this optic canal, the orbit is connected superiorly and posteriorly to the anterior cranial fossa. Okay. Now let's talk about the structures which are passing through this optic canal. The important thing is the optic nerve, right? This is the optic nerve, the ophthalmic artery, which is a part of the internal carotid artery, and the sympathetic fibers, right? The sympathetic fibers wound around the internal carotid artery and it enters the orbit. Now the second important structure is the inferior orbital fissure. See, this orbit is a pyramid like of a structure. The structure that we see, or the part that we see in front, this is the base, and the part at the back, that is the apex. So this inferior orbital fissure is at the apex of the orbit in the inferior part, so it is the inferior orbital fissure. It connects the orbit to the pterygopalatine area, that is the temporal and the inferotemporal regions. It is formed by the greater wing of the sphenoid, by the maxillary bone, the zygomatic and the palatine bones. This is the pterygopalatine area. This is the inferior orbital fissure, and here is the orbit, right? It is formed by the greater wing of the sphenoid, the maxillary, the zygomatic and the palatine bones. What all is transmitted or it passes through the inferior orbital fissure? So the zygomatic nerve, which is a branch of the maxillary nerve, the infraorbital nerves and the vessels, the inferior ophthalmic vein, the branches of the pterygopalatine ganglion because it is connected to the pterygopalatine area, and the parasympathetic fibers which innervate the lacrimal gland. So these all things, right? Now let's talk about the most important thing or the most important fissure, which is the superior orbital fissure. In my previous video, we have talked about that superior orbital fissure is a gap between the lesser and the greater wing of the sphenoid. It is separated from the optic canal by this structure, and this structure is called as the optic strut, right? This is the annulus of Zen. This is a common tendinous ring. This red part that I am marking, this is the common tendinous ring of Zen or the annulus of Zen. And this ring, it divides the superior orbital fissure into this upper part, this middle part, and this lower part. Right? Now, what all structures are passing through this? Now we have the superior ophthalmic vein, now we have the lacrimal vein, we have the frontal vein, the trochlear vein, the LFT, the three, sorry for I said it wrong, the superior ophthalmic vein, the lacrimal nerve, the frontal nerve and the trochlear nerve, the LFT, the lacrimal frontal and the trochlear nerve, superior ophthalmic vein and the recurrent meningeal branch of the ophthalmic artery. It passes through the upper part of the superior orbital fissure. Through the middle part is passing through the superior and the inferior division of the oculomotor nerve, that is the third nerve, the nasociliary nerve and the abducens nerve, right? The four nerves. And through the lower part it passes through the is passing the inferior ophthalmic veins, right? Now this is an anatomical diagram of that where is the optic canal. This is the optic canal, this is the superior orbital fissure, and this is the inferior orbital fissure. So one should understand the relation with each other. Now this is the optic strut. This is the optic strut which separates the optic canal from the superior orbital fissure. Now this common tendinous ring of Zinn, which I will be discussing in another video, is formed by the extraocular muscles, right? Now other connections of orbit are the nasolacrimal duct. Through the nasolacrimal duct, it is connected to the inferior meatus of nose through which the tears drain, and the anterior and the posterior ethmoidal foramina, right? Hope and yeah, since we have talked about and you must have remembered something, so now it's time to test your memory. Just see this diagram, right? Just see this diagram and label the 1, 2, 3 up to the 15, right? What all are these 15 structures? And if you are able to label it correctly, then you must have remembered everything that I have taught in this video. So do test your memory and happy studying. Thank you.